COVID-19 has crippled the live music scene. It's meant no money for performers and the thousands of people who work behind the scenes. So some musicians in the region have started live streaming their performances. In a moment, we'll hear from two bands who have done just that. But first, our reporter Sean Peel can explain how artists are already struggling to get paid for their records.
So what has politics got to do with rock and roll? In 2019 BC, before COVID, it was worth nearly £6 billion to the economy. When we talk about the music industry, the key word is industry. Streaming accounts for more than £1 billion of that. The artists get around 16%, the record company and the streamers get the rest. That's why MPs are looking into this and asking if the major streaming platforms are being fair to the artists. When you buy a CD or vinyl, you own it, and the artist, in this case Sam Fender, gets a cut. But when you stream, you're just renting, really, pulling it out of the ether for a short while. And the money that you pay doesn't go directly to the artist that you choose to play. It goes into a big pot. So if you never play One Direction, for example, you're still paying them. Alexa, play Little Things by One Direction.
Here's Little Things by One Direction.
Little Things was co-written by Fiona Bevan from Suffolk with Ed Sheeran. It was number one in 13 countries. She also wrote the song Unstoppable for Kylie's hit album Disco, which she told MPs earned her just £100.
You get 1 million streams on a three-way co-write, which is very common with an artist, a producer and a songwriter in the room. You're probably looking at about £100 for the songwriter. And that probably, if the songwriter had to get a train there for the day and buy lunch and stuff, you're not really looking at a viable living wage. And that's why I told the MPs that I know hit songwriters who are now driving for Uber or Amazon.
Fiona Bevan says she can earn more from playing in the pub and selling some vinyl and T-shirts than she can from 1 million streams. Musicians like Fiona and the record companies have had their say. Next up to give evidence, the streamers. Stay tuned. Sean Peel, BBC Look East.
Yes, it's a difficult time for artists. With venues closed during lockdown, some bands have been forced to live stream their performances, as Robbie West reports.
What do you do when a global pandemic stops audiences coming to see musicians? At Hotbox in Chelmsford, they decided to take the musicians to the audience. This is Norwich-based folk band Dove and Bowweevil performing on one of the 95 live streams that the music venue has put on over the last year. Usually, musicians perform to around 120 people at Hotbox. At the start of the pandemic, when they were forced to close their doors, here they couldn't see how they would make ends meet.
Very worried because it's not the staff's fault. They've got mortgages to pay, bills to pay, and it's not. So I was stressed, yeah. I was very stressed.
With financial help from the government's Cultural Relief Fund, they began streaming live music. It's free to watch, and they say that these film performances will help the bands.
Never sleeping.
Suffolk band Honey and the Bear quickly turned to live streaming when gigs stopped. Whilst financially it doesn't work out as well as performing at a venue, it does help them build a closer connection to their fans.
It had its own charm, didn't it? Because the audience could actually build relationships and chat about stuff that wasn't related to music.
It's a tough time for people in the music industry. Whilst some have found ways to carry on working, artists hope they can soon return to venues and play in front of packed crowds. Robbie West, BBC Look East.
Now let's take a look at the number of hospital patients who have died with COVID, and 47 have been announced today. 32 in Essex, 10 in Suffolk and 5 in Norfolk. I think those figures really highlight the pressure our hospitals are under with COVID. And sometimes it means making tough decisions with vital, sometimes life-saving operations cancelled or postponed. Ellen Wallace was supposed to have cancer surgery at Addenbrooke's Hospital in January, but was told no beds were available. Nessa Rudd reports.
After being diagnosed with cancer in October, mum of two, Ellen Wallace, has already had part of her colon removed. The operation was a success, but the cancer had spread to her liver.
there's only one cure for it, and the cure is surgery. They are not able to perform that operation because of COVID at the moment. Otherwise, I've been informed by the surgeon that it would have been performed in January.
The nature of Ellen's operation means the hospital have to make sure there's a bed in the intensive care unit available in case she needs it. And due to COVID, that can't be guaranteed right now. Instead, she'll begin 12 rounds of chemotherapy.
I'm relatively confident that it's not kind of growing at a worryable rate. However, it's the frustration of coming that close to potentially being cancer-free and now having it put back is immense.
We asked Addenbrooke's Hospital about Ellen's case. The Trust told us our hospitals are under significant pressure as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, and we've had to take the difficult decision to temporarily postpone some non-COVID procedures. Patients are being kept under close review by senior doctors and will have their operations rescheduled as soon as possible, prioritising those with the most urgent clinical need. Ellen's story is not uncommon. Macmillan Cancer Support says a growing number of cancer patients are being affected by delays. For Ellen, it's now a case of waiting for the phone to ring. She says her main focus now is keeping her family happy. Melissa Rudd, BBC Look East in Norwich.
Now, as you probably know, we're expecting a lot of snow over the next couple of days, and of course that could affect people trying to get to vaccination centres. With the details, here's Maria Veronese.
Vaccination centres like here in Ipswich are on high alert, preparing for snow and ice heading this way. From Sunday, conditions will be challenging, particularly for vaccination volunteers and those booked for a jab.
We are in contact with those volunteers to make sure that they're aware of those conditions, making sure that any distance is the minimum it can be to those sites, so they keep that sort of travel down.
So far this year, the north of England has borne the brunt of winter, but many of us are in for a blast from the past.
It's a very similar setup to what we saw in 2018 with the piece from the east. We've got very cold northeasterly winds coming from Scandinavia. The most likely scenario at the moment is that some parts of South and East Norfolk, East Suffolk and into East Essex could see as much as 20 to 30 centimetres by the time we get through to late Monday.
In Suffolk, as with Essex and Norfolk, gritting depots are gearing up for a busy week ahead. It's hoped the snow and ice won't disrupt vaccinations, but
people need to think about their safety first of all in terms of travelling to sites in treacherous weather. If they can't get to us, we will rebook them and that will be done reasonably quickly.
If your local vaccination clinic is forced to close because of scenes like this, the advice is that you regularly check your clinic's website or listen to your local BBC radio station for the very latest updates. Maria Veronese, BBC Look East.
And of course, we'll have more details on the snow this weekend with Alex, who has the weather, after we get an update on the football. Norwich have just finished their game at Swansea in the Championship, a top-of-the-table clash. Let's go to Tom Williams now, who has the details. Tom.
Yeah, defeat for leaders Norwich tonight, 2-0 at Swansea, who climbed to second, just 2 points behind the Canaries. And for the fourth game running, Norwich failed to score. They lacked conviction up front, and it was two defensive errors that cost them. The first from the normally so reliable Tim Krul in goal. He came to claim a corner. He dropped it. The defence failed to deal with it, and Andre Ayew weaved his shot in. That was just before half-time. Then just after the break, the mistake from Kenny McLean, needlessly giving the ball away, and Conor Hourihane from distance punished them. The goals have dried up for Norwich, winless in their last three in the league. Their most creative talent, Emi Buendia, has been suspended for the last two. He'll be back to face Stoke next weekend. And for any Norwich fans starting to panic, no need just yet. That's only their third defeat in 24 league matches. Norwich remain top.
Thanks, Tom. Well, that's it from me. Let's get that all-important weather forecast with Alex. Good night. Hello, a wintry weekend of weather on the way with a risk of snow and ice. It's also going to turn much colder into Sunday. A yellow weather warning in force across all areas for tomorrow and Sunday for snow and ice, and for some parts, an amber weather warning for snow, which is where we're likely to see the most snow. So across all areas, we're expecting between 1 and 5 centimetres. Across that amber weather warning area, as much as 15 centimetres by the end of the day on Sunday. But the story overnight tonight is of rain, some showery rain pushing through at times. There'll be a lot of cloud and some mist and fog patches, temperatures falling to around 2 or 3 degrees. So tomorrow the cold air starts to dig in, that mild air mass gets pushed away. We'll see mainly showers falling as rain through the day. There could be the odd heavy one and quite a lot of cloud around, but we will hold on to that less cold air through the day. So a top temperature of 6 Celsius. It's really Saturday night into Sunday that those showers will start to push in from the North Sea on a strengthening easterly wind, moving across all areas overnight Saturday and into Sunday. In a moment, the national weather comes up, but here's the outlook, and we'll see further snow showers for Sunday and Monday.